Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This week, we're diving into an important step for our district's future choosing the best student device for rollout, specifically for students in La Guajira, Colombia. As part of this process, I'm conducting interviews and surveys with key stakeholders, including our campus administrator, IT director, and teachers from across different grade levels. We're asking questions about the current devices in use, how well they support teaching and learning, and what the ideal device might look like if budget were no concern. We're also exploring technical needs, such as network compatibility, device maintenance, and how a large scale rollout could impact IT support and infrastructure. For teachers, we're gathering feedback on which features matter most in the classroom, preferred device types, and how many devices would be needed for effective integration. Balancing cost, performance, durability, and long term value will be critical as we move forward. I'm excited to hear different perspectives and to ensure that every decision we make supports powerful learning experiences for our students. Thank you for following along with this important work.
All right. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me. Today we have Mr. Freddie Barrios. Freddie, can you tell me a little bit about the role that you occupy and where you are before we dive into the questions?
Okay, sure. Hello, my name is Freddy Barrios. I am systems engineer with a specialization in network infrastructure, and I am in charge of the connectivity through the school, the internet, and devices connections. Um, User support and well, more or less, or more than other computer connectivity.
Excellent, excellent. And so here we are in Colombia, La Guajira. Today, the conversation is centered around technological device implementation in the schools here in the region. So, just a few questions I had. The first one was, or is, regarding the current devices. What student devices are currently being used in the classrooms across grade levels here at the school?
Yeah, well, that depends on the grades. Preschool students are using tablets, some of them iOS, some of them Android.
Nice.
Um, in primary, Chromebooks, and from 4th grade to 11th grade are bring your own device, so personal computers.
Awesome. How would you evaluate the effectiveness of the current devices in supporting teaching and learning?
Well, the experience has been good. We have found some problems with quality of the devices the students bring, more or less, more from 4th grade to 11.
Okay.
If it's a not good computer,
Mhm.
we sometimes we have connectivity problems, more related to the quality of the device. But in primary, we have been having a good experience with these Chromebooks. It's been them. And in preschool, with the devices, we have found good experience too for these small kids.
Awesome. As
Mhm.
far as your vision for the technology here at the school, right? What is your overall vision for how technology should support learning within the next 3 to 5 years?
It's getting a big step
Mm.
in this matter, in this technology
Right.
growing.
Hmm.
And I think we have to learn how to take the best of it without getting out of the road.
Exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think we have to work more on that
Mhm.
because I think this is a huge problem that is difficult to manage.
Understand. Okay. All right. Well, let's put ourselves in a position of dreamers now, right? Let's pretend like that money is no object, right? And if
Uh,
you had an unlimited budget, right? What do you think the ideal student device would look like in your mind, as far as like features, performance, durability? Like, what could it look like?
Okay. For students, I think that a mid quality but good memory. Uh, Devices with at least 8 gigabytes RAM, processor, if I watch right now, Intel Core i5, E5, or AMD 5,
Okay.
Ryzen 5
Right.
would be a good one.
Mm.
Hard drive, SSD, screens, minimum 14 inches. Um, well, mid-quality computers, it's good ones, taking in account that the students in 11th grade will move to the university, and that would be a good one, a good computer to begin with the university.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So, as far as challenges, right? What
Mhm.
challenges have you noticed when it comes to using the devices, maintaining devices, or integrating the devices in the classroom? What are some common challenges across the grade levels?
Well, manageability,
Mm.
most of the students wants to pass through the rules that we have
Mm.
established for the use of the internet connections,
Okay.
and they try to avoid those rules. So that's one of the challenges
Mm. Definitely.
to work on, uh, and it's more something that we have to talk to them, uh, because they don't know exactly what are they doing and what are they uh, risking
Right. Yeah, exactly.
upon.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right. And what kind of support, professional development, tech support, would you like to see if you were to roll out this mid-level device that you mentioned, a great one? What kind of support do you think you'd like to see accompanying that kind of device rollout?
Mm, Not sure really.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No worries. But yeah, I guess maybe like just kind of training the staff on how to support the students in using them, or maybe
Yeah,
like yeah, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Fair
That
enough.
would be good.
Yeah, yeah,
To really uh, discover that avoiding these rules is to learn that this is a huge
yeah,
space, really dangerous, and they
mhm,
don't know what are they risking on that.
yeah.
Yeah, the training about that would be good.
Fair enough. Awesome. And then final question. You kind of alluded to it a little earlier, but what factors, what do you think about as important when you think about choosing a new device for the students, the staff, leadership, like cost, performance, longevity? Like what are some of the issues or the priorities in your mind for choosing these devices?
The most important is what will be the use
Right.
of it. Depending of this use of this device, what will be needed from this device is where I recommend the processor, memory, hard drive,
Right.
and that depends more than other things in what kind of use will have this computer.
Right.
Depending on that, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. All right, great. Well, that brings us to the end of the questions. I really appreciate it. All right, thank you so much. I'll send you the final recording, all right, so you can take a look.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, all right. So here we have Miss Fergani Alamin here in like Guajira, Colombia, and thank you for joining me as we
No
continue the
problem.
conversation. Sure, awesome. As we continue the conversation about technology and technological devices and usage in the classroom, right? The whole idea is to figure out how we can find and come up with the right device for implementation and integration in the classroom. So what do you do here? Tell me a little bit about your role that you occupy here.
Okay, so I'm the technology teacher for 5th through 9th grade. This is my first year here at Colegio Albania, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. All right. So as far as the technological devices that you currently use, right? What devices are students currently using in your classroom?
Students in my classroom use a variety of devices, including laptops, tablets, and desktops.
Okay. Nice.
Uh,
How effective do you think they are on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as meeting the students' learning needs?
I would say a 10. We use the technology every day. We use a range of educational tools and platforms such as Google Classroom, Kami, DocHub, Toddle, and things like that.
Nice. Preferred device features, right? Let's talk about that. What features are most important to you in a classroom device?
Preferred device features would be fast performance, durability, long battery life, easy to troubleshoot, um, maybe stylus support because the
Mm,
computers I have are touchscreen.
okay. What type of device do you think would best fit your teaching needs now as opposed to the learning needs of the students?
Um, I use multiple types of devices
Okay,
because my
okay.
students have different devices as well. So I have
Right.
my work laptop, which is Windows, and then I have my MacBook. Students normally use tablets or iPads. They have MacBooks and then Windows computers as well.
Which is your favorite to use as a teacher?
Um, my MacBook.
Your MacBook? Okay, interesting. All right. So let's talk about device integration. If devices
Okay.
were available, how many devices do you think ideally you could effectively integrate into your classroom activities?
I have a full class set of desktop computers, and
Okay.
since the students also have their own device,
Right.
I mean, ideally a 1-to-1 ratio is needed to fully integrate technology into the classroom.
Awesome.
Um, yeah.
All right. So we want to prioritize these things, right? How would you rank the following in order of importance to you? And these are the options. So you have performance, cost, durability, ease of student use, and technical support availability. Those five. Which will be
Okay,
number one and
so
number five?
number one would be performance, two would be durability,
Okay.
three, the ease of student use,
Right.
four, technical support availability, and five would be the cost.
So who's paying for it? Where's the money coming from? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, cool. So let's talk about the challenges now and the needs that you have faced, right, when using these devices with your students. What are some of the challenges that you face?
Some challenges I face would be a wide range of device brands leads to inconsistent performance. Some students' devices may lag. Troubleshooting tech issues across different brands and operating systems can take up instructional time. And occasional Wi-Fi connectivity problems. And sometimes students get distracted by non-educational apps or websites.
Awesome. And of course, since you're the technology teacher, you probably would be very comfortable with a variety of different types of tech and devices, right? But thinking from a PD standpoint, if you were to train or help implement and integrate devices in the classroom for teachers specifically, what kind of training or support would you think they would need to feel confident while using new devices in their instruction?
I think they would have to be quick hands-on tutorials that cover troubleshooting and classroom management of technology use. Um, PD on new apps or platforms relevant to coding, interactive notes, and collaborative learning tools. Ongoing success to tech support for device-specific troubleshooting, and peer sharing or case studies on effective tech integration strategies.
Excellent. Thank you so much for spending this time with us and sharing your insight. And I'll send you the recording when it's complete. Yeah.
Okay, you're so welcome. Have
So,
a
all
good
right.
one.
Thanks a lot. Peace. All right. Good morning again. So here we have Mr. Jose Palma. Thank you so much for joining us on these tech talks as we consider technological integration within the classroom environment, specifically in La Guajira and the Colombia, South America region, right? Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do here.
Well, my name is Jose Palma, as you mentioned, and I am the IT coordinator for the school. I'm also a system engineer with 20 something years at work in the field of education at high school level and university level.
Excellent, thank you. So, man, we got someone here as an expert who can be able to give us good insight. Let's jump in and start with networking, and network overview. Right?
Okay.
How can you describe the current network setup at our school? Bandwidth, Wi-Fi coverage. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so currently our school uh, in 2012, when I first started working as an IT coordinator, we
Right.
only had about 10 megas for the entire school. All right. Then it was a little bit hard. We went over and presented a project to include the usage of iPads in primary school as a pilot, and we needed to upgrade our bandwidth. So we went from 10 to 60 megas. All
Okay.
right. And then later on, at about a year and a half or so afterwards, we finally got approved. And currently we went from 100, then we went to 200.
Wow.
And we have 200, but we also have, by Cerrejón, we have the option
Right.
up to 400 megas
Right. Okay.
bandwidth. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. That's a
That
big
helps a
jump from
lot
where it started.
in the everyday school classes, the use of YouTube, the use of Google Classroom, and all the tools that the teachers use with the students in the classroom.
Awesome. So I was saying that's a big jump from where it started, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as device compatibility, right? What types
Right.
of devices are best supported by our network infrastructure?
Okay. Most definitely, I think uh, the best devices that we accommodate in our computer in our network are the ones that use Microsoft operating systems.
Okay.
That's not to say that that we don't not, that we have too many problems with other ones,
Right.
but I believe that's the best that adapts to our school network. uh, we currently have anywhere between school computers, we have approximately anywhere between 200 to 300 computers in the school that belong to the school.
Right.
That's including, or a little bit more. That's including Chromebooks, uh, tablets, Android, and the desktops and the laptops that we have for the school.
Mm.
And the majority of our school computers have the system operated of Windows.
Mm.
All right. We also have about 70 Chromebooks.
Okay.
And we are currently in the process of making sure that all the Chromebooks that the school has have a Google Workspace license,
Okay.
which will allow us to deploy any type of applications that all teachers want in different computers of that operating system.
Nice. Okay, good. So with so many devices on the network, right? What do you say would be the biggest challenges in maintaining and supporting student devices across the school?
Okay, so without any doubt, I think that the biggest challenge is the one that we are currently having from the computers that our students, even though school provides for primary students computers like laptops, Chromebooks, or tablets, our high school students have a different, you know,
Right.
different brands of computers.
Mm.
They have Macs, they have Hewlett Packards with Windows. We even have about two students who have a Linux system.
Wow.
So it really becomes I think that's the biggest challenge that we have, that we need to be able to accommodate all the students, even though they have different types of operating systems, so that they can still use everything that they want to use within the school network.
Fair enough. What do you think your vision for technology integration in the classroom within the next few years would look like?
Okay, so one of the things that I keep reading and that I keep learning is how the use of technology has become. Uh, I, I I don't know if I would say uh, not appropriate, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
uh, but I think that if we as teachers are able to use technology as another tool
Right.
instead of a replacement for other educational things that we used to do back in the days, okay, uh, I think we will be able to, we as teachers, we will be able to help our students even better because we will be using a mix of things. So uh, uh, what I see in the future is not good in the sense if we allow our students not to be responsible with the usage of technology, which is including uh, IA nowadays, you know, then our students would not have, will be depending on that. They will be too hooked up in the use of that technology instead of using that as part of their growing as people or as professionals later on in life.
I agree with you 100%. This is an ongoing conversation now that we're having our cohort, especially talking about technology, So, man, it's a scary thought, but it is what it is. What are you
it,
going to
it
do?
is what it is. We have to make
It
sure
is what
that
it
we
is.
have to make sure that we give the students the tools, and
Right.
that includes not only the usage of technology, but how ethically they need to learn to use those tools. You know.
Exactly. All right. So, as far as the impact, right, that this has on the IT department, right? How do you think a large scale rollout of new devices, if you were to, I guess, replace and roll out all the devices, what would be the impact of this workload on our IT department?
Well, it all depends truly on the planning that you do before you do the rollout. Uh, but right now, with the technological equipments that we have in the school, okay, uh, making a change of all those equipments, okay, it puts a huge impact on it, and the biggest impact is making sure our teachers and students, okay, are able to adapt to the change. One of the biggest challenges that we have is uh, when we make any type of changes, whether it's a hardware or a software change, we need to prepare our personnel and our students, everyone, okay, to accept the change because we kind of fall on a pattern. We kind of fall on everything is going this way, it's going fine. Why change it? you
Mm.
know but we always need to change. Life is about changing, so we have to make sure that we adapt to those changes and accept those changes and work within those changes, even if sometimes it's going to cause us not to feel very comfortable to begin with.
Understood, and that makes sense. All right. So, from a technical standpoint, because I love that we're talking mostly from a technical standpoint, right?
Right.
What features should a new student device have to minimize the technical issues and to lessen the stress and the burden on our department?
Okay, so the biggest issue that we have, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, is the different types of operating systems that we have. So one of the things will be to require our students to either we as a school make a decision to go with a Google operating system, Chrome type of thing, okay? Or we take the stand where every student that brings his own device to school has to have first Windows as an operating system, and then a very good antivirus, right, installed on the computer, because that's the other thing that really puts a really weight on our department. because we have computers that don't have an antivirus, and students are usually connecting to VPNs and and looking for things in the cloud and the
True.
internet
Yeah.
and searching, and they don't understand at times that whenever you download something, you might have something attached to that
Mm.
application or game or whatever, and that's going to cause your computer to slow down or your connectivity to start disconnecting and connecting back again and so forth.
Exactly. All right. So from a security and update standpoint, right? How easy would it be to manage updates, security patches, and maintenance for these, I guess, new devices that if we were to replace all the devices that we had and roll out our own devices, how easy do you think it would be to manage the overarching problems that you mentioned?
I think it all depends. In our case, for example, we're currently still using 2008 R2 server license.
Okay.
Okay, we have already bought the latest server license of
Mhm.
2022. Okay, and we'll be changing that in the summer, right? And then the moment that we make that change, okay, we have to make sure that all our school equipments that are used by teachers have at least a Windows 10 or Windows 11. Okay, and therefore, if we assure that we have the equipment that we have has Windows operating system, has the latest Windows system, Windows 11, and so forth, then when we put in the new server license, uh, then we will be able to handle those situations without a little bit of less stress, you
Mm.
know.
Fair enough. All right, awesome.
All right.
And so finally, whenever you're thinking about technology, you got to think about the money,
Yeah.
So related to the cost and performance view, right? How do you weigh cost versus performance when recommending new devices for the school?
Well, we're always looking out and reading, to make sure that we stay updated, because technology is something that is always, every day there's something new about it. And for example, we looked into going, instead of having local servers, going to the cloud with Azure. And
Okay.
then when we started looking into it from a budgetary
Standpoint.
perspective,
Yeah.
we discover that even though having in the cloud services are a bit are less expensive than if you have it physically on a server locally, then they start charging you for a bunch of other things that they
Mm.
do not mention. So when it comes to budget, for us, it's better if we have a local server that we can handle, okay? And maybe a combination of, for example, Google Drive, okay, or Google Cloud, where we as a school, since we have the license for Google Workspace, are able to provide enough space on the drive for each teacher and students to do a backup in
Mm.
the cloud without having to pay extra money for it. So
Okay.
that's where we look into it. That's where we start looking into it. How can we make that combination of something that is physically with something that is in the cloud that would not be that expensive?
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much.
All
And
right, man.
that brings
It
us
was
to
a
the end of
pleasure.
the conversation. I mean, just one question before you go, right?
Yeah,
Your
go ahead.
favorite device, your favorite computer brand, what would that be? If you can snap your fingers now and every student has that, what would it be?
It will be, to be honest with
Right.
you, I'm a 100% believer on Dell computers.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, so if I had the possibility,
Right.
to give every student, I will give them a Dell computer,
Okay.
okay? Because they're the most flexible to
Mm.
fix when it comes to do it on yourself.
Okay. Got
If you
you.
have a Mac, you either throw it away or
Right.
buy a new one.
Fair
You
enough.
know,
Yeah.
and then you have the Chromebooks, and
Right.
Chromebooks have certain limitations.
Mm.
So therefore, I'm all for Dell.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
That brings us
All
to the
right,
end.
man.
All right.
It's a
See you later.
pleasure. Okay.
Bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.